probably the best free charting I ever found on the stocks, and the whole market kind of runs on any platform. So if you have a internet access, you go to barchart.com and you can do your whole gig there. As far as charting, of course, you can't execute trades here, but I saved a big image of the dollar index, and I clicked on all the stuff you need to click on to get it to the draw a line chart phase. And then I saved it and I opened it up inside of Windows Paint, which was like bitmap. It's a bitmap writer. And I didn't have to, I saved a large image of it. So I haven't expanded this image and distorted it. I could, I probably should. So I go in here and open up the edit window. Of course, they kind of changed the way this even runs now. So actually, I can't do that anymore. Oh wait, here is resize. I always feel like I'm being left out of the next version. Like they're gonna just keep on. So let me make it like 150 or something here. Percentage. All right, so dollar index 125. People can get their brain around 120. So 120 is a big deal. And the next one for a lot of people would be 110. Right there. Interesting top bottoms at those points. 105? Wow. You know what? That's a very skeptical price. So you get a doji there. You get a lot of indecision right at that that hesitation point. So the same thing on the other way. When you go through this bottom, look at how that thing behaves. They cut into it. They just nick into it. Comes back. Never gets above here. Now your sell limits could be in here, and I can't turn on the bars. So you just have to accept the risk. Yes, people have sell limits in here, I'm sure. Now, I don't know what's going on. This chart goes way back to 1992, and this trendline break was certainly a big deal. Obviously, it had a major importance. There's two tops back here. You can put your pending buy limits for the crush back. If this is the breakout right here, or this is the failure to go up at this rate. I mean, everybody's projecting off the last known impulse. If the impulse wave is off of this bottom here, if you see this over and over again, where the market comes back to the body of the doji, and those are your buy limits for at least this. Everybody's already bullish, right? Nobody has a choice in that. This is a monthly chart, so this is 1 year signal. Then they trap the very bullish people because, and also it's not making targets. So the momentum's already falling off. Here, if you draw a line back from here, you're getting a problem, right? This becomes the next resistance for the dollar. That was a very fat index. It's fat. This is such a big deal, this price. Again. Well, now, and I just saw a video from a guy saying the end of the world's coming. It's so adorable when everybody's all in on the fact that, well, the dollar's going to... Really? What happens if it never... What if this is the top, this is the bottom, this is the bottom. If you don't take out that 95, I mean, come on, if you don't take this out, we still got all this space to fill. We have not been in here yet. So this will be, you break 100? Oh, come on. But everybody's going to be projecting like this for the short-term traders. So right up in this window, yeah, sellers, you know. Of course, this is a monthly chart. Yeah, it could come flying right back to this. But yeah, I mean, it depends what your time frame is for getting paid out on these trades. Here's an amazing bottom, became a doji body. Slam. This was supposed to hold. That became resistance. Bam. All charts are the same. This could be a 5-minute chart. This could be a 4-hour chart. If this was a 4-hour chart and you loaded the wagon up here with a 20 pip stop, that is this more money than you'd ever, I mean, you just take one account, load it up, and make 20 times your money. Easily. I mean, you're trading at insane leverage up here. You've got all you're projecting off this top into the third wave, the third drive. People talk about 2 drives, 3 drive, 1. There's 1 drives out there. Look at this 1 drive. One drive to here. It doji's out, and then an equal smash. Wow. But now it's, people are going to be buying if it comes back here. I think they're going to be buying if it comes back there. So look at this breakout. I mean, this is insane stuff. Sellers come in here, they clean up on that retest. But you're in an uptrend. Ever since 2000, from 2008 to 2012, you're uptrend. There's no way around it. 75? People understand 75. So you say 75 cents to somebody? The market thinks in quarters. So fair value's like, it's $1. 75. What? And then you know what they were saying here? Of course, this would be the peak in gold. Oh, dollar's going. You know how many people are like, you gotta buy gold. Oh my God. Look at this. Top becomes a bottom for a ricochet point on close monthly. Yeeks. Well, it kind of corresponds to this. So this is the true structure of the market, is the line chart. This is the frame. Everything's hung off of this. More triangle formations at 80 cents. How strange is that? Oh, wait, there's a doji here. Yep, sure enough. So Apex, you know, the jury's out. Now here's the argument to go short, is that this is too fast of a rise. But where do they trap it into? Previous top. Trap it right to that doji, and the sellers come in. As you know they will. Look at this cute little bottom became a top. Bam. And this is the one I like. If I see this on the 1 hour where this market's just going down a little too fast, and you've already got the top inside the bottom, baby top inside the bottom. Good Lord. And then here, your first break of, from this doji, your first trendline break entry is like this, where you go smashing through, you come back, retest this support. And as this thing goes through this kind of turnaround, if you have this line, you know, everybody would be buying, I'm sure, at 90 cents if it coincided with this trendline touch. Like, but here, really, gosh, what's the next step on the dollar? I'll tell you what, there could be a big wick that spikes down here and just tortures people, and then consolidate. But obviously, if you can get in here at 95 and get out at 105, you just made quite a bit, right? So if this goes, or this could just come tugging down, like melt all the way back to 90 cents, right? So you can see here, 87, right? It's a big deal. It's always been a big deal all the way back to 1992. It became the inflection point. Here's a classic auction trap. It was screaming down, and if you do a channel there, it's just too tight of a channel. Markets can't handle being in. Look at how steep this is, right? I mean, you kidding me? You really think that's going to keep, like, people are projecting, like, to all the way down to, you kidding me? Look at how fast this pullback was. That tells you something. Look at the velocity of that. So this thing is seriously broken out way back here at 80. My God, if you're still long from 80 and you haven't got out, you're just a pig. You should be taken out and shot. So that's like, yeah, it's 20 cents. I mean, it's 20 cents. It's, so yeah, I mean, crude oil tanking and dollars strong, but it's going to be a sideways. I mean, if this thing does finally put footings in, you're just going to creep, you're going to sneak away. Like it's so funny, the market like sneaks away from these zones. It's just going to, like, if you build this massive wedge in here, I mean, it just becomes like the box that it can never live in. I mean, how long was that going to go on? My God, look at this thing. It's the most ridiculous apex at 80 cents. Stupid. These dumb trades. I feel dumber having drawn on the chart now. But yeah, this thing, wow. And it gets quiet here and just tiptoes and goes nuts to like 105, and crude goes down to 30 after bouncing off of 40. Anything can happen. The dollar index, and here's another one. You can put a trend line here all the way across, and here's your break, you find resistance, right? So that's like the frame of the market. That's the line chart. And yeah, everybody's going to be bailing out here, right? Everything is in a giant churning mess of support and resistance, and it's just collapsing onto itself. It's a train wreck. It's like price pulse. If it's got a pulse to it, then it's very dynamic. So look at this sell-off, right? Like, how long was that trend line going to last? I mean, you can only imagine what was going on here. And this is that's just what happens when you build a mountain too high, I guess. I mean, if you look at these things, it's like cascading of weight. Bottom becomes the top here. Slam. Then everybody's hoping that holds. And it does become a great scalp bounce, Look at that thing bounce off that. And it's actually a double doji if you count this one here. Connect these two supports. And the projections for the sellers not getting met on their targets, like they're already talking for the end of the world. We're going to 75 cents. You can only imagine the newspapers telling you, we're going down here. It's like, oh, well, maybe not. And just another place to hang a pivot is off of this. If you come down underneath here, all the way to that point, and connect all these under points here. I could extend them to the future, I guess. Here would be your targets being hit on the underside, right? If you're projecting off of every piece as it starts to fall down, then you would have to keep that rule up all the way through the turn of the market. So you're drawing like a channel based on all the pivots. You just keep connecting these around, and of course those targets aren't being met, and the last one you can draw is this one. And so as that thing starts to curl, and now your moving averages are turning too, and everything's, making this turn. Now the problem is this trend line. Right? The trend line of break is they have to hold in this much velocity. So if you want to be more conservative, you could say, well, I could almost picture it, if it has to fall back, whereabouts where I get in. And it's kind of like a real scalper's territory right now, because it looks to me like a typical that we have to pop below this big 95 cents. There may be a super spike for some reason, maybe a climax in gold at 1350, but just there may be a little flash entry like there was in the stock market. So if the dollar goes up, stocks go up. And this whole talk about the markets and gold and all that, it's just so silly, because really that's already priced in. Finally the economy is coming back, just by its sheer fact that it's a natural phenomena that there's even any commerce. Or, everybody's I guess people want most people are utopians as far as they have they want things to be really good, maybe for them, utopia, or for other people, so they say. And so, but in the actual what's really going on is completely different than what people how they want to spin it. In other words, the market makes a move, and then people want to use it. Don't let a crisis go to waste, at least as far as the how to spin it, to have an agenda that you can get leverage on. But I mean, if you're going to try to make money on the moves, that's completely different than trying to rationalize why the market did what it did. And it's usually about, well, the market can't go sideways forever, and a lot of moves are very they're too swift to last. So if the market spikes down quickly, you have to go into like this swing trading mindset. Now, if this was like a 4-hour chart, I mean, it would be different, right? How many trades you take per. So you have to figure out, if you're only going to trade 2 times a week, there's 2 setups a week. Of course, I would zoom in on this chart. I mean, it just kind of showing all the pivots. If you had to, I guess there's a rule for drawing the lines. So if you had to set somebody in the room and say, here, draw this chart, or just whatever, I'd actually crop out the prices on this and the times, and just edit this image down to just a line chart, and I hand it to somebody, have them just draw lines on it and see what they come up with, and just tell them to try to find the connecting points, connect the dots, but it's like connect the peaks and valleys game, and see what they come up with. I don't know if you have to pay them for that, because I don't know, maybe we'll do it for kicks. But yeah, to me, it's like, wow. First time I saw a line chart, I said, man, that's just cleans everything up. This is Wix. I mean, unless you know how to trade them, I don't want to hear about it. Like, I mean, those wicks are brutal, man. I mean, you've got to be a scalper, on a wick of any magnitude. A daily wick of 500 pips. Who doesn't want to have that trade? Who doesn't want to make 500 pips in a day? So that's a whole different. But when you're thinking about long-term trades, if you're one of these, hedge funds that doesn't care about wicks because they're hedged, they actually just take their books and they just turn a page. But when they go flat, typically, if they're flat, the market's in a triangle. You got to assume. And then somebody has to kick the football off of the apex of that triangle. And how does it kick off that? Where does it kick off? Right. This is like in football. And so this guy makes a run. Right. This guy, I don't know. There's a million ways to view the market's behavior and make analogies to real life, so that at least what you're doing makes sense. Could this thing walk up into 105? Yeah, you can make a lot of arguments for the trajectory there. It starts to look like a real, real structure. So you build a structure around it, around the lines. You're actually putting the wallpaper. This is the frame. The line chart's the frame, and you're going to put, I could come up with different colors, And so if I really thought, well, this is the most important flag on the chart, I'd say maybe you mark this flag off here. Then what's the most important support that you can say without, gets you about 92 cents, right? So right in here, speculating that this guy is going to really start to consolidate and create this insane flag where you're actually back at the starting gate, fair value entry. 100, once you take out that 100, I think it's going to be a quick move to the half handle here. So you're definitely scalping out there for maybe a ricochet back. Of course, it doesn't seem to spend much time at this price, but that was the half, the 102, 102.50, and but that, wow, what a amazing, and kind of just flirting with, and I don't know if there's wicks at 70, but see, that's why those are the quick and dirty trades, because if there's a wick at 70 and the body's at 75, that's an insane scalp that probably only lasted. In a lot of these, I'm sure there's wicks above these two peaks. There's no way that they didn't have, there's no way that this is a shaved candle bottom on every line. So without looking at you just have to trust and believe that there's some serious. There could be a wick that goes all the way to here. Now that would be, if you had a crop of sell limits up here for that scenario, you trade it both directions. So not only do you have deep buy limits, but you have deep sell limits. You just need to be away from current price in a ideal angle. So you pick that angle up front, you figure out how many pips per week you need to be away from the market, and you lay those orders in. Now, the only the rate of change is about, looks like this right here. Now this could get spikier, but if you're going to sell at 105, maybe you're going to do that next year, right? But who can wait that long, right? So obviously you want to be a buyer right now at fair value, and maybe you dump everything up at 105 next year. And you're coming up on this, right? And who's the next president or whatever? You want to put on a spin on the reason that you're going to get up there. Here's the apex of this monster triangle. Good Lord. What the heck? That's like about a 5-year triangle? It's ridiculous. How long was that going to last? And the plot just kept thickening. And, oh, that is crazy. And this was insane. Wow. Talk about a trend. But look how this, you can't say, well, what's the trend of this chart? You got to be kidding me, right? If this wasn't the trade to be in, You could have run a trailing stop on that and never got stopped out, for God's sakes. Look at this stuff. Look at these steep. These are too fast to be, and they're just failing every time they get down here. They're just getting their ass kicked. Wow. Triple bottom down there. She goes, finally the relief rally that can cut through this fair value and find support here on the let's see, I gotta switch my color here. Yikes, this is manual labor. It bounces off of this and comes back to fair value right at the apex of the triangle. Now it takes a serious amount of patience to wait for that setup to happen, I would think. To get in here, wow, man, more patience than Jesus himself. Look at this insane 80 cents. How dumb do you feel missing that trade? Well, I don't even trade this thing, but man, who couldn't see this coming, right? All roads lead to, Good God, man. And look at this thing clean. It could have gone backwards. It was so excited. And look at it. It didn't even, they just cleaned that whole top. Come on. This is like people taking their propane tanks in the house to heat their house, and it blows up. They wonder what happened. What are you, nuts? And look at this fractal inside. And then what, people are like, what's going on, huh? Yeah, what do you think? Duh. Come on. If that was on a 5-minute chart, you don't even see this kind of drum on a 5-minute chart. Could it go higher? Oh yeah. Could it go lower? Sure. Could it come back to here and ricochet off that for the scalp? I'll take that. So you put your buy limit down here? Come on. Ridiculous. Don't ever think this stuff, people. People, I hate to sound like Greg Marino, but people, don't overthink this. And the stock market is going up. I hate to break his heart. Everything's going up. This is called inflation. Finally, right? You print that much money. So here's your, in this window, 90 to 85 cents. Wow. Unreal. And then there's another, can you imagine 60 cents? And, wow, 105. My exit 105. But there's the half handles, the scalp pullbacks, the little baby moves off of this. All this stuff here. You know, it's, so you can just picture the next, but yeah, this was high drama. And, wow, this is some brutal action. There's no way around that. This was the most insane. I mean, can you imagine looking for this to bounce? I can imagine it. I've done that trade a million times. But the solution to this kind of behavior, if you want to go long, is to put in trailing buy stops. You're never getting filled. You might get a couple traps on those, but you got to trade a lot bigger than. It's got to look like this. Just buy stop, buy stop, buy stop, and then whoosh. Even this one, even this fill that you thought just sucks, because as it comes flying back, the market doesn't realize that that you're in that trade, and it knows it has a real inclination to fill this, at least take out half of that move. So even the guys that, I guess if you got in here, you're up a little bit on that trade, but imagine you actually stuck with the buy on market flow entry style where, okay, it's going down. I don't want to sell, but I certainly want to be there when the party's over and the thing comes ripping back. Ripping back. And how it gets there, is certainly inconsequential. Now this is the first time it's taking a lot longer to get there. So these price pulses are vicious. Then finally, like, oh, wow. And this, if you're into these patterns, I don't know what you call this structure, but no, see, now it looks like a bat wing. No, this looks like an ant hill. No, this looks like an ant farm, underground ant farm. But yeah, so this is how wicked these kind of moves are. And certainly, if that was the daily euro dollar, and you bet the ranch at this apex with a stop here, or even a stop here, that's a serious amount of money. And the same thing on the downside. Every step along the way, without getting stopped out, you could have said, you know what? Maybe it's going down, and holy mackerel. Ricochets up. Wow. Trap these guys that think it's going just forever down. They rip it all the way back to the really last known pivot, or the last known support. I'd say the top that was supposed to be the bottom and never fail was that one. Right about 90, 97 something. And we just, people had to get out there. Now we'll have flag forming there. So this possible scenario would be we go to 105. The other possible scenario is to drip all the way back to, and this would be a kind of just a scenario like, okay, it's either going up or it's going down, just like options. In a perfect world, and then people would buy on a retest of that, or people are going to bail up here. But of course, on the way there, good Lord, it could be a rocky road. And I don't think I got the patience for waiting 2 years to get into a trade, 4 years. Like, I got buy limits down here. You do? How come you wasn't on that short train? Yeah, this is vicious, and this is going to be a big deal. This thing, this would be like the balancing area for this thing to finally, and then who knows? Hopefully, it goes back to if you're on the daily chart, you can see the way you'd want to probably only get a couple trades a week out of the daily chart. I don't know if you want to wait 4 years to get filled on a pending buy limit, or 2 years. Now 4 years per cycle bottom here. So you have quadruple bottom. Yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, dollar index. Crazy. Yeah, huge monster move there. It doesn't mean that you could go and buy the dollar or sell the dollar against the other currency pairs straight out, because it's a completely different instrument here. But that's my dollar index monthly chart, line chart, 1992, 2016. Insane.